Steve Silverberg was a IT specialist back in Boston working for a big insurance company, making a six-figure salary. But like what I heard from two of you, he really enjoyed when Friday afternoon came and he could go outside and be out in the wilderness and communing with nature. And what he started observing in this insurance company in terms of how they made their investments is they were actually making investments that were harming the environment. So what began happening over the years was more and more of a disconnect between his personal values and the values that he was really promoting by working for this company. So he decided at one point, felt the fear, went through it, one thing, I want to be out helping people enjoy nature. So he started a company where he leads folks on tours, camping trips out in nature. Now, the sacrifice he made, Harlan Sanders obviously did very well in terms financially. This fellow was making a six-figure salary. In his new company, he was making 1/4 of that. But he's happy. You know, what matters to you? And some of the choices that we have to make in that. This is Renee Murray, and her story is interesting. She had a fairly successful bank career for a number of years, but in her early 40s, she decided that she really wasn't happy with her life, that she really wasn't doing what she wanted to do, and that what she always wanted to do was be a jazz singer. So from the security and banking into going into becoming a jazz singer at something of an advanced age. And she was so committed, she not only left the banking career, she left her husband, who said if she didn't stop and go back to banking, he was going to leave her. She left him, so quite a bit of sacrifice. But she said it was worth it. And she's now one of the leading jazz vocal stylists in the nation. She says that when she knows where she needs to move, it's because she feels the fear. Now, fear is often a huge inhibitor, understandably, to moving ahead. But she says when she gets that fear in her gut, she knows that's something she moves towards, because that's the energy saying that's the challenge, that's what I have to break through on. So coming to terms with the fact that change is frightening and scary, and saying, okay, instead of turning away from it, how do I embrace it? How do I pull through? A very powerful kind of message. All right. Step 2, mapping out your plan. And that involves breaking down a vision into action steps and making them very doable and manageable. Well, let's understand this girl's time growing up, particularly her teenage years. Her mother became seriously ill, and her father had always been very distant and not very loving towards her. She was devastated at age 25 when her mom died. She sought solace in moving to a new country and getting a new job and marrying. And I think we can all understand that, sort of the fleeing and I'm just going to try something totally new, which is a form of reinvention. Unfortunately, after she quickly got pregnant and had a kid, the unhappy marriage quickly ended. She returned to her native country, ended up on welfare, suffered from depression, and had very suicidal thoughts. So things are not going well. Any ideas so far who this is?
Mother Teresa.
Huh?
Mother Teresa.
Wow. All right. But something she did during her teen years is she escaped by writing short stories.
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling, you're right. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So shortly before her mom's death, she was delayed at King's Cross Station and got the inspiration for a child fantasy story. Years later, in the depths of her despair, she resumed writing that story. She went through 12 different publishers before she found one that would publish her work, and they encouraged her to keep her day job and not to expect much money out of what she did. But here's what she said about that experience. I was not the world's most secure person. I'd say I was someone with not much self-belief at all, and yet in this one thing in my life, I believed. That was one thing in my life. I felt I could tell a story. Yeah.